Okay, guys, today we're looking at inequality applications. Okay, so there's some translating words to math symbols that we kind of need to be able to recognize here. So, like addition, we have total, sum, altogether, and plus. When you see words like that in a word problem, you should be able to know that it's, excuse me, that it's going to be some type of addition problem. Okay, subtraction is going to be like take away, difference, less than, and deduct. Okay, and multiplication can be double, triple, per, and product of. Okay, so these kind of words are translating into actual math symbols, and being able to recognize those will make it easier on setting up these application problems today. Okay, so less than or equal to, right? We have less than, fewer than, under for the strictly less than symbol. We have at most, less than or equal to, no more than, less than or equal to, and a maximum of less than or equal to. Okay, so when we look at like these, obviously if we see something like under, it's strictly less than. But if we see a maximum of, it would be less than or equal to. So making sure that we have these down is going to be important, because these ones might be a little trickier for us and not as familiar when it comes to picking which inequality it's going to be, whether it's strictly less than or less than or greater, or less than or equal to, sorry, excuse me. Okay, same kind of thing applies for the greater than or equal to. Okay, greater than, more than, and over, these all represent strictly greater than. Okay, at least, no less than, and a minimum of, those ones are going to be the ones that represent our greater than or equal to. Okay, so take a second and get those down. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to be able to take a look at them and familiarize yourself with them. And of course, you can always use your notes on the worksheet on the test to be able to identify what you're probably going to use. Okay, so for number one, we have Farmer Ted is putting up a chain link fence around a rectangular garden plot. He has 75 feet of fence and wants the garden to be 15 feet wide. So we need an inequality representing that. Okay, so our perimeter, when dealing with perimeter, right, we want to find the possible length of the garden plot, is going to be 2 times our length plus 2 times our width. And again, hopefully remember that all this is saying is we're just adding up all the sides here. Length plus width plus width. And then when you combine like terms, you're going to end up with 2 lengths and 2 widths, right? Because a rectangle has 4 sides. Okay, is less than or equal to 75. That's his maximum amount of feet. He has 75 feet of fence that he wants to garden. Okay, and he wants it to be 15 feet wide. Okay, so knowing that he wants the garden to be 15 feet wide, we can substitute 15 for our width, our W. Okay, and that's what we did in that first step there. Okay, so 2 length plus 30 is less than or equal to 75. Now it just becomes as easy as solving for our variable, which is L in this case. So I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. I'm going to get 2 length, 2L is less than or equal to 45. And then to solve this, I'm just going to divide by 2. So my length has to be less than or equal to 22.5 feet. If he wants to max out the amount of fence that he has, his length would be 22.5 feet. But does he have to technically use all of his fence? No. Okay, so it has to be less than or equal to 22.5 feet. So we'd put a closed circle at 22.5, and it would be going to the left. Okay, so probably the most difficult part that we're going to struggle with today, you guys, is that setup part. Okay, and that's just because it's kind of new to us. But once we start familiarizing ourselves with what words we're seeing and what they mean, as far as translating them to math symbols, I think we're going to be okay. Okay. So number 2, Jay sells books online. He makes a flat profit of $2 per book, but he needs to pay $4 per day to Venmo for using the app on his website. Okay. How many books does he need to sell to make at least $120 per day? Okay, so he makes a flat profit of $2 per book, but he needs to pay $4 to Venmo a day for using their app. Okay, how many does he need to sell to make at least $120 per day? So let's look at that at least word. Okay, at least is going to be greater than or equal to right here. So we know this is going to be a greater than or equal to problem. Okay, so my setup here is he makes $2 per book. We're using B to represent the amount of books that he's going to sell in a day. Minus 4, that's the $4 that he's paying to Venmo, okay, is greater than or equal to 120. Okay, again, we got that greater than or equal to from the words at least here. Okay, again, now this just becomes as simple as solving this. We're going to add 4 to both sides. 2b is greater than or equal to 124. We're going to divide both sides by 2. B is greater than or equal to 62. So he needs to sell at least 62 books per day to make at least $122. 62 or more books will get him 120 plus. Okay. So again, this process was just a 2-step solve process here. We added and then we divided. Okay. The hardest part was probably setting it up. Now we can graph this. We need a closed circle at 62. Okay. And that arrow is going to be going to the right. Okay. So again, that setup process is probably going to be the most daunting process of the lesson today. Okay. And that is it for today, guys. Let us know if you have any questions. Okay.